she goes for their juggler and she plays the shit out of them and she ruins their whole careers. And that is badass. That is badass. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hayley. Today I'm going to be talking about things I wish more authors would write into their books, or things I wish I could read more about. I don't know what I've titled the video at this point.
If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. If you know, you know. I don't have the vocabulary to sit here and explain, like, either you get the vibe or you don't get the vibe.
Anyway, I made a list literally 5 seconds ago of things that I wish were in more books, and they're not necessarily tropes. I guess some of them are. So I just want to say a quick little disclaimer. These are things that are kind of personal to me, so I don't expect everyone to agree with me. These are just my opinions. So if you disagree, okay, that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. If you agree, and if you know books that have these things in them, please let me know. Please comment down below. Some of these I have not read ever. So I'm going to start with the most basic one. I want to see more male and female friendships that are completely friendly and do not turn into a romantic relationship or do not even have a crush. I just feel like it's always such a cliche when a guy and a girl are friends and then someone catches feelings. If they're not serving best friends to lovers, then it turns into a love triangle because someone else gets another love interest. It happens too much. Someone has feelings and then it gets messy and then there's a love triangle. I just feel like it's kind of overdone. And I just want to see a male-female friendship that are just friends because it's possible.
Believe it or not, women can be friends with people with dicks and not hop on them.
Yeah.
It is possible for a man and a woman to be friends and to not be sexually attracted to each other or romantically involved. So I want to see that. I would like to see it. The next one is honestly, I think, my favorite on the list. Soulmates, but in best friends. So platonic soulmates, if you will. I feel like a lot of times the closest relationship that we will see in a book is the romantic relationship. But I do think that best friends could be just as close and intimate in a way that a romantic relationship could be. It should be normalized to want to be as close and open with your best friend as you are with your significant other, because I feel like with your best friend, obviously you want to tell them everything, and with your significant other you want to tell them everything. There's just an unmatched level of trust that someone has with their best friend, so it doesn't make sense to me why as soon as a romantic relationship comes along in a book, it's like the best friend is suddenly I feel like a lot of times when people see a super close friendship between two guys or two girls in a book, and also in life in general, people are like, oh my god, are they a thing? Some people will try and claim it as queer baiting. So I feel like we should just normalize being really close to your friends. I die when I see friends in books that are so close to each other, just as willing to die for each other as they are for their significant other. And I love it when their friendship is not weakened just because someone gets into a relationship. So I just want to see that because I love that.
Start to fall.
Oh, this one is so important to me. I want to see more characters actually processing their traumas and just anything that they go through. I read a lot of fantasy, and I feel like in fantasy especially, there's so much war, so much violence, and I am aware violence is not the only way that someone can be traumatized, but I feel like especially in YA books, we just skip over the characters' emotional and mental well-being. I'm not saying the whole book has to be about them overcoming their trauma and processing their trauma. I think it's so important to just have a moment to have your character breathe and at least think about what they just went through. First of all, you know how a lot of YA characters just lose their parents, and I'm like, what? You don't have any emotional reaction to that? Hello? I feel like we just are so stuck on the idea of the hero being flawless and just constantly being on top of everything, always having a plan, always ready to go. It's okay to sit back and give your characters emotions and make your characters not be okay, because it's completely realistic. And I know with fantasy, a lot of people are not concerned with being realistic because it's fantasy, but if you want your characters to have more dimension and to seem more relatable or real to the readers, if you want to humanize them, then I think it's important to have these moments. Even if I can't relate specifically to what a character has gone through, if they have a moment where they're like, I can't fucking do this right now, I have been through a lot and I'm tired and I need a moment to process and to grieve and to cry, I would understand that. I'm grateful to Sarah J. Maas for showing that, and also to Holly Black for showing that, because in The Wicked King there was a moment when Jude was crying in the bathtub because of all the shit that was going on and how overwhelmed she felt, and I was like, sis, same. It's not that hard to include a moment like that. It really isn't. It doesn't make sense to me how so many of these characters are so young, like specifically in YA. Like, it makes me so sad. So I'm like, if I was 16 and I went through half of the shit that these people go through, I would not just be sitting there like, okay, what's next? Let's go defeat the next god. Like, what? I understand that not everyone will develop legitimate like PTSD after going through something traumatic, but everyone at least has some kind of reaction to it. It's okay to not be okay. I feel like a lot of people just like to invalidate every single part of Sarah J. Maas's books, but I love that she has so much representation of characters not being okay. There was one scene when Aelin literally broke down because she was like, I just don't feel like myself, and I feel like I can't do this anymore. Like, it's too much. It's too much. Like, she sat there and was like, it's too much. I'm tired. And I was like, this girl is 19 years old, literally carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. I thought it was a beautiful scene, and I want more scenes like that. I don't think it's realistic for a teenage character to be bouncing around saving the world and not feeling the weight or the pressure of that. The next one is kind of hard to explain. It's basically just that I want to see more, like, I guess, like quiet or introverted characters, or characters that aren't your typical like snarky, you know what I mean, like those characters. I want to see characters that are more on the quieter side. I feel like a lot of times we automatically label characters that can fight as badass, but we're more hesitant to put that label of badass onto a character that doesn't fight, especially when it comes to women. I want to see more characters that are recognized as being badass for their minds, not just for their physical abilities. Especially when it comes to women, it's like the only time they're ever called badass is when they fight. And trust me, I have a lot of favorite female characters that fight that I think are badass and are amazing. I have nothing against those characters, but I'm saying I want to see more characters that are not your like traditional badass, but are still badass because of, you know, the other things they bring to the table. For example, I think that Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones is hella badass. I also think that Arya is hella badass. Arya is basically an assassin. She is amazing with weapons. She can cut a bitch down. She's cool. She's also very smart, very clever. Like, good for her. Sansa, she doesn't fight. She is more so seen as your traditional lady that kind of sits there and is quiet and does what she asks. That's how she's seen as, because she plays the role, and it makes other people underestimate her. And that's when she comes in, and that's when she goes for their juggler and she plays the shit out of them and she ruins their whole careers. And that is badass. That is badass. She uses the weakness that people see in her femininity to basically be better than everyone else. And that's what I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see, she doesn't fight. She doesn't know how to wield a sword, but she still is that bitch. She still is badass. And I want to see more of that. People are still hesitant to label Sansa as badass or as a strong character. And I don't know why. Oh, this one I think is probably a very unpopular opinion, but I want to see multiple love interests. This is something that I love that Sarah J. Maas does. I feel like a lot of people were complaining about how it's unrealistic for a teenager or anyone really to be with one person and for that person to be their soulmate or their forever. In life, a lot of people have multiple partners, and date multiple people before they find someone who is the one. I know with books it's a little different because sometimes books are only around the span of like, I don't know, a couple months. But I love how Sarah J Maas, when she has her multiple love interests, she shows which relationships are healthy and which relationships are unhealthy, and she shows the characters growing and becoming more developed emotionally after and during each relationship. I think it's fine to show a character experiencing love with multiple people. I think that's completely realistic. People date multiple people in real life, and I just can't believe that readers have an issue with that. I guess maybe they just get mad when their favorite love interest isn't Endgame, but I can't relate it. If it's a long series, I'd like to see multiple love interests. Unless they're gonna get married in book one and just stay together, like I'd be fine with that too, because my next point, you actually get to see the couple be together for a good amount of time. I love slow burn romance, I really do. But I hate it, especially when romance is a subplot. I hate it when we only get to see the couple be together for like 2 pages at the end. I'm like, we have 3,000 pages of pining, and then we only get like a kiss and an I love you, and then bye, book is over. Like, no, that's not what I want. I want to see the characters be together for at least a whole book if it's a series. I know it's normal to obviously have, you know, points of disagreement in a healthy relationship. It's just such a breath of fresh air to see all the conflict happen outside of the relationship. We already had so much trouble getting the characters together. So when we get to see them be together, and like, I'm not saying it's all perfect. Like, there's still arguments, there are still times when things are hard, but I'm talking about we don't still have things keeping the characters apart when they're supposed to be together. I hate that shit. What is the reason? Like, you already gave us all this pining and all this buildup, and then they got together and now they're separated again. Like, for what? Why? No, I want to see them be together, because otherwise I'm like, are they even a match? Those are all the things that I have, because I only came up with 5. I came up with 6. If you want to see more, I will come up with more, because there are a lot of things that I want to see in books. If you want to hear about things that I don't want to see in books, then let me know. I will do that too. If you have recommendations for books that have these things, let me know, because I would like to read that. That's probably why I'm making this video. If you made it this far in the video, comment a butterfly emoji. That's a good one. I like the butterfly. Thanks for watching. Remember to comment, like this video, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.